welcome to our opening session of Digital Week 2020. My name is Richard Jeffs. I'm the General Manager and Vice President of Development for HCL Digital Solutions. And I'm happy to have here with me today Dion Hinchcliffe, Vice President of Analyst at Constellation Research. Dion, thank you for joining us today.
It's great to be here, Richard.
I understand you're going to share some great feedback today that is really hot off the press. I believe that feedback and data will be based on Constellation Research's yearly CIO survey. So we're really excited to hear some information that we hadn't heard in quite some time. I also understand that you were recently at Google's CIO Summit. So I'm sure there were some great takeaways from that meeting as well.
Well, there really was. I mean, I was actually keynoting the event, and when I circled around with the CIOs there, virtually, of course, the number one topic, which I've never heard before, was low code. The trying to attack all the problems and challenges of 2020 much faster than before.
Well, I'll tell you, that's great to hear. Obviously, we have significant investments in low code, the digital office, and digital transformation. Let's talk about the week we have ahead. During the week, we are going to be making 3 significant product announcements, as well as the global introduction of our Volt MX product, which is our new product in the low-code market. I'm also really excited about the customer discussions we're going to have during the week. There's going to be amazing demos, great technical sessions, and obviously insights from yourself, other researchers, and analysts during the week. Well, Dion, let's set the stage for an amazing week, and let's start with digital transformation at scale.
Fantastic. Let's do this, Richard. All right, so what we'd like to do is to kick off HCL Digital Week. We'd like to start with the macro view. What are you going to face in 2021? As we all know that this year was a very disruptive year, for many of us, the most disruptive we've ever had in our careers. The challenges that we faced were significant with COVID and other obstacles that we had. One of them was this massive shift to remote work. 63 million American workers alone moved to their home as their primary way of working. And that had great implications for IT. We had to scramble to do that. And because we had to rework how we ran our business, we saw organizations reaching for more nimble platforms like low code. And so low code development became one of the hottest topics for this year to tackle things like the way where our organizations moved. And those organizations who had shifted to the cloud were in by far the best stance we saw to deal with these disruptions. And so most new solutions this year to cope with the challenges of 2020 have involved moving to the cloud with the way the organizations want to work. And along the way, our customers moved too. So not only did our workers move, but our customers moved, and they have new expectations about how they want to be served in digital channels. They want home delivery, they want telehealth, things like that. And so we have a very disruptive year, and so we need new and much more powerful tools to be able to grapple with the scale of change. And so that's one of the things we're going to explore in the session is how in 2021 top IT leaders are already planning on how to do that. So a couple of weeks ago, we completed our CIO survey about what organizations are going to be doing next year. Next slide, please. And they actually see that the next year is filled with opportunity, right? So the landscape has changed. A lot of organizations are still in the middle of their shift. And we saw in the data, 74% of CIOs said that digital transformation was their top priority. So that's digital transformation of work and digital transformation of the customer experience. It was even higher than cybersecurity, which is number 2. Usually cybersecurity, keeping the organization safe, is job number 1, and then you can do everything else, right? So we see reimagined employee and customer experiences as the major CIO opportunity. This is what they're reporting, right? Accelerating adoption with cloud native. They want to get to the cloud, and they want to do it in a sustainable, future-proof way, and that's cloud native. They want to drive enterprise efficiency. They want to do it with automation, and particularly want to do it with low code. And they're looking at building resiliency into their organizations to be able to cope with the bumps that we know are going to be happening in 2021. And they want to bake more agility, more leverage into their organization so they can turn on a dime and address the challenges that they're facing. So that's an exciting opportunity. And we'd like
Yeah, I'll tell you that for me, all of these really resonate. But the one that really stands out for me, and I can't imagine that this has ever happened before, but digital transformation tops cybersecurity. I mean, who would have thought that a CIO is thinking about digital transformation before cybersecurity? And I think that really does reinforce your message of how the times have changed and how important digital transformation is for companies today.
Yeah, well, I think CIOs always thought it was an imperative, but you always had some time to do it. They were all forced to do it this year. Digital transformation of work and customer experience, and that process is in flight right now. So 2021 is we have to see that we have to finish the job, right? So it's an exciting time.
Excellent.
Next slide, please. So if we drill down into each one of these four major trends that we see for next year, inside them we can see specific signals that was in the survey data. There's a fundamental change in the digital office for all workers. We're going to live like this for a while yet, and it's never going to go back the way that it was. And we need to be able to address new ways of working. We need to invest in the citizen developer, and that is the people in our organizations who are taking these powerful tools like low code. And it's like literally it's like the transition from the command line to the user interface, to the graphical user interface. It's a 10x increase in productivity and agility. We need a more mature approach to cloud. It's been not haphazard, but it's been piecemeal up to this point, and we're seeing that the conversations are going up to the organization-wide level. What is our cloud strategy? Because we have to move there much faster than we did even in the very recent past. And we see that we have to adapt to the changing customer expectations, and we don't. We'll see an example with a mortgage company in just a little bit. This is not something that we have 4 or 5 months to do. We have to make these changes in weeks to adapt to rapid changes in the marketplace. And then we have to do this in a sustainable way. We can't, the heroic mode of digitally transforming organizations just in front of the company and doing this in panic mode is not something we can sustain. And so we need much more powerful tools that allow us to get more from our existing assets and staff. Next slide, please. So we all want to make these changes, but organizations are also facing challenges, blockers that are preventing them from moving forward as quickly as they might like. And so in the survey, we tried to find out what those were. And the first thing that became obvious is that most organizations feel they still have a brittle foundation, that their data story maybe isn't as strong as they need to be. They don't have all quite the right tools, that they're maybe not fully cloud native. They're in the middle of transitioning to containers, for example. They're just not ready for transformation. And they also, and this is one of the clearest signals in the survey, along with digital transformation, is they don't quite have the skills and talent that they would like to have to realize these new changes. They have to upskill workers. They have to go to more dynamic staffing platforms. They have to move to low code. They need to empower and train those citizen developers and everyone in the organization who is willing to learn. And they have to overcome these disjointed experiences. Video meeting tools were not meant to be the way that we work all day long, all week long, all year long. And it's not sustainable. Will not attract and retain the best talent. We need work from home tools that are more collaborative, more engaging, things like enterprise social networks. Next slide, please. And so low code has become the center of the conversation. Now, we just talked about at the Google CIO Summit how low code was the big topic because of the leverage. It allows you to get 10 times more from your existing developers and almost as much from everybody else. There's 24 times more coders more non-coders in a given organization than coders. So how can we tap into that large base? We need pro code. I'm a pro coder myself, and I understand this very well. There's certain things you can only do with pro code. But when we're talking about business solutions, things that are not technically difficult, low code can address those challenges and create hundreds of times more applications in a governable, manageable way if you have the right environment, right? And integration is easy. It's point and click these days. And I've been challenged on whether we really have reached the era of point and click integration, and we absolutely have. There's many solutions that make that possible now. And so if we apply low code to customer experience, to our employee experience, and to our back office and our supply chain in a more strategic way, in a more intentional way, right? Right now, it's largely accidental. If the workers find low-code tools or they already know them, they may be allowed to use them, but we need to deliberately roll them out across the organization. We need training programs. We need to make sure we have application lifecycle management and governance around this, because we're going to get a lot more apps than we ever had before. And that is a good thing. We have to put the guardrails on this, make it safe, right, and make it secure, and then provide a lot more value to the business. This is why low-code is so exciting.
Dion, I think, what you were saying here we did a Twitter chat just recently, you and I. And one of the questions that was posed was, can pro code and low code coexist? And I think you're really answering that question, that there are lanes for low code and there are obviously lanes for the pro code side as well. And I think, as you know, low code is a major focus for us with Domino Volt, and obviously our recent acquisition of the Quantum Temenos product, which is now Volt MX. And I think the interesting thing from us is we've been in low code, as you know, for quite some time. And I think it's evolved from really a want to a need now. People are realizing that in order to build quickly, have the agility that's required, and frankly, to scale, they really need to have the ability of leveraging business users and building all of those great applications that today are likely in a form, a sheet, or an Excel file, frankly, and now taking those and digitizing them and turning them into applications can make us much more efficient. So this slide really resonates for me, for sure.
Yeah, and I think the fact that we're seeing CIOs talk about it shows that it is gone up to the top of the IT organization, and we'll see it now, a more intentional activity in 2021.
Excellent.
Next slide, please. So this is a chart that is intended to help you kind of find your place in the digital transformation maturity model. These are, in general, it varies for everyone, but in general, the stages that organizations go through. They typically start by transforming the sales and marketing experience on the digital side, right? So, commerce catalogs, site search, web content management, analytics. That's where the transformation typically starts. And once that's done, and those parts of the organizations typically adopts faster than the rest of the enterprise. In stage 2, we really see this more of an omni-channel experience. We're not going to just focus on the marketing experience and sales, but the end-to-end customer experience, right? We'll make this much more customer-centric. We'll make it cross-channel. We'll create experiences on mobile that are integrated with the rest of the omni-channel experience. We'll get more social and so on. And we'll start rolling out low code. And then we'll become, in stage 3, a full digital business. And we'll create a fully digitized employee experience that's more holistic and integrated instead of a bunch of piecemeal pieces like it is today, even in most organizations. We'll create smaller products, but a lot more of them that are part of a contextual experience, right, and a more connective enterprise. And we'll have things like machine learning and artificial intelligence aiding and customizing that digital experience in all channels in near real time, right? That's kind of the nirvana. And that's true of both the customer and the worker. We're going to have fully contextualized, more distributed and decentralized experiences, but all of it connected together, all of it contextual, all of it personalized. And that's the overall digital transformation maturity model. And you have to kind of find out where you are so you know what you should be planning for next in 2021.
Yeah, Dion, if I could jump in there just real quickly. I really like these maturity models. As you noted, I think it gives many companies a baseline of where they are, but it also gives them a roadmap and plan where they need to go. And let me ask you this. Where do you find most companies are? Are they at stage 3 or are they at stage 1? And are there any examples of companies that really do this well that stand out in your mind?
Well, we see that most organizations are not at stage 3. If you want a poster child, you can look at organizations like Amazon is a full digital business in every way you can imagine it. But we see traditional organizations like Nike and Disney are also either at or close to stage 3. But most organizations have left stage 1. They have done and digitized sales and marketing for the last 10 years. That's done in most organizations, and it will continue to have to evolve. Most organizations are moving into stage 2. They still have the bulk of the work ahead of them in digital transformation, even though they've done good pieces of it in slices of their organization now.
So there really is a lot of opportunity and growth here for many companies at this time.
Absolutely. All the opportunities in front of us for the most part, really.
Excellent. Thank you, Dion.
Thank you. Next. All right. So how do you get started and accelerate your journey, right? And step one is really honestly understanding where you are in the journey, right? So identifying your place on the maturity curve, and that means getting the skills and the technologies in place. That's what you're trying to understand is what are we going to work on next? And building out those skills and those tooling gaps that you almost certainly have in your organization. Then partner to modernize the way your line of business works, right? So instead of just being a order taker for the business, you really have to be a trusted partner where you really sit down and say, hey, we understand where you're going to have to go next, and we can really lead you there and really create that partnership to the business side. Anticipate those changing customer expectations. You're probably already serving your customers, but that's typically not some data that IT looks at too closely, and that's going to change in 2021. Get that understanding of how your customer wants to be served and make sure that's being brought to that partnership table and said, here's what our customers want, and here's how we can help you get there. And then create a fast pathway from experimentation to production. Experimentation is one of the most important pieces now to find the way forward. And low code lets you do this cheaply and inexpensively. And then you can move that into production once you've found the right way. And developing a experience roadmap based on those customer needs that you've identified, based on what your partnership with the business tells you they're ready to do in 2021. You create that experience roadmap and you test and iterate these new models for serving your customers in very different but compelling ways. And then build up to a drumbeat of centralized and decentralized solution. Low code is really about getting everyone involved in the IT department in a strategic way. And so you'll be developing a lot in IT, but you'll be also helping the business develop everything else that they need to run their business. You're going to end up with 10 times more IT. It's going to happen. All the data we see shows this. But now let's make it safe. Let's put the guardrails on it, and then let's turbocharge it. Next slide, please.
I think we're going to cover some myth busters here, Dion. So if you want to cover the first one, the myth versus the reality, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. So one of the things that we uncovered in the survey too was a lot of the things that we really assumptions that I think a lot of us have about how we have to transform maybe isn't the way that we thought it was. And one of the key myths is one of the reasons we can't move forward is we have the wrong IT systems, and we have to replace the core ones we have had in place for a long time. And we see that just isn't true. Many of us have already built on the strongest platforms that we can find. And for the most part, we're seeing that organizations, the vendors are keeping them updated. We don't have to rip and replace to move to the cloud. Often they have paths that will allow us to move. And, I'm looking at you, Domino customers. There's some of the strongest platforms that have ever been created are already in your organization that are future ready and future proof that can take you far down that journey. So I think that the reality is we have to augment what we have for sure. We need new capabilities, but they're often extensions of what we already have.
Dion, why don't I jump in here for a minute as well, if you don't mind. I'll cover the myth, and then you can cover the reality. And I frankly have heard this one before, and I'm sure you have as well, right? So to transform, we must modernize everything or we won't succeed.
Yeah, well, I think that the truth is, you do have to eventually modernize things across your organization, but you have to start somewhere. You cannot boil the ocean, right? So one of the quickest ways to do that is to modernize what you have, right? You don't have to redo things like your data schemas that you've already proven out. This is what you need. They are mature. They're hardened. You don't want to go back to the beta days for many of these things. Same thing with integrations. That creates the fabric in our IT organizations. We don't want to redo those when they're in a mature state. What you want to do is evolve those integrations and take those data models to the cloud. That they're the right ones, and so you don't have to modernize everything. You can actually build on a lot of what you have, and especially the maturity points that you have. I think that's really key.
That's a great response. Let's jump to the next one. And if we're on a bit of a roll here, I'll cover this one as well, if that's okay. So an interesting myth, right? To transform, we must use only one platform. That seems to change year over year. Dion, I'd love to hear your feedback on that one as well.
Well, yeah, and I think that the CIO dreams about this. And this is, they would love just one throat to choke, one vendor, let's move to one cloud. But that's not the way it's going to be anymore. A multi-cloud is real. Every organization is already multi-cloud. They don't realize it. We have to make all of these things, all these clouds work together. And we also see that the one-size-fits-all IT approach, the big suites of everything, isn't working either. They often have strengths in core areas that are different. If you overlap them, best of breed is back. And a single platform can never be the fullest, strongest solution for your organization. You have to be able to mix and match them with things like low code and microservices and integration. You can do that. It's real, and I see this happening broadly across the industry.
That's a great reality. Why don't we jump into some customer scenarios, Dion? I think you're going to cover a couple from your experience, and then I'll cover one as well.
Yeah. We want to show this is real. And so I had a conversation, again, just a couple weeks ago with a top mortgage company, and they'd had a real challenge with the fact that mortgage applications had gone completely remote. And they didn't have digital signing where you can actually sign your mortgage application in your computer and not have to get everything FedEx to your house. And so they were losing a lot of customers who said, well, I don't want to go through that process. I want to work with a mortgage company that has modern digital servicing. And so they realized they had to add this and had to add it quickly. They didn't have 4 months to go from thinking up how they're going to do it to actually deploying it. And so they had already been experimenting with low code, and so they developed a low code solution that were able to deploy successfully in production in less than 2 months. And they predicted it would take at least 4 months, if not longer, to do this using the traditional way. So that was a big win for them, and it kept them in business. They view this as a business saving. They didn't have 4 months of precipitous customer drop to be able to get through to doing it the pro code way. So it's essential for your business. Next slide. And another great story. It shows how cloud scales great until you have 10 or 20 or 100 times more customers trying to visit you. And so when the pandemic hit, the U.S. Department of Commerce was bombarded with organizations who were looking to be considered an essential business, because essential businesses could stay open. They had different rules, and it was very desirable. It might even be required for your business to survive. So it wasn't just millions, but it was tens of millions of businesses emailed the Department of Commerce, and everything went down. Right? They used an old channel. Their email servers were never designed to do this, and no matter what they did to try and bring them back up, the flood of email kept taking them down. So instead, they actually took their main page of their website, and using a low-code solution, they replaced that front page, and it said immediately, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to get an exemption from being an essential business? Fill out everything here. And the users actually ended up filling the database using the front page of the U.S. Department of Commerce website. The low-code solution they used was designed to scale to any size, so they didn't have to worry about that. They were using the scaling capacity of the cloud to be able to handle tens of millions of businesses who are looking to get an immediate turnaround so they could stay in business. And so this is a great example of how you can tackle, you combine the cloud with low code, and you can solve problems that are not solvable using your traditional IT, and do this very, very quickly. They did this in one day. And so it's an example of what you can do.
Wow, 1 day. Jeez, that's excellent. All right, well, why don't I jump in here, Dion, and I'll talk a little bit about a US-based big box retailer that is a customer of ours who was also impacted by COVID-19. And frankly, it impacted the buying behavior of their customers. So this customer we actually spent some time with, got a better understanding of that buying behavior from their customer base, and the fact that many of their customers did not want to go into the store anymore. So we spent some time with them, and over a short period of time, we helped them build the capabilities on their mobile application, which is what many of their customers actually leverage, to dynamically understand and check the inventory at the store so they could pull items aside, was one piece of the application change that we made. But the really compelling one that I thought was just something that most companies in this type of business will transition to is we also built the touchless purchase ability. So within the mobile app, you could actually do the entire transaction from your mobile app and never have to go in to the actual store itself. We weren't able to do this, Dion, in days, but we were able to do it in weeks. And frankly, it met the customer's requirements. And I will tell you that this application, this mobile app, is rated at a 4.8 on the App Store. And I think you'd acknowledge that's a significantly high rating. Almost
yeah, I mean, this is the future of application development for a good part of our organizations.
Excellent. Thank you. So why don't I talk a bit about our portfolio here at HCL and how it is very aligned, Dion, with a lot of things that you were actually saying that's top of mind for CIOs. And as you were speaking, I'm always trying to take a couple what I would call golden nuggets from the conversations that we have, right? And for me, with low code, it really comes down to speed, agility, and frankly, the ability to easily scale and leverage, as you noted, those business users and the developers and have them complement each other very well. So for us with Volt MX, we provide a lot of the ability that you mentioned around automating and digitizing business processes. We also offer that with our HCL Domino Volt product. And I will tell you, I'm also incredibly excited to announce that in 2021, we'll be announcing a new product into our HCL family, which will be Volt Business. And for us, I think this really reinforces the importance of the investments that we continue to make in low code. And I think the timing for us is perfect based on what you've been talking about as well, Dion.
I agree.
So let me talk about apps that run your business, right? So I think many of you may know that millions of applications still run on Domino today. They're tightly integrated into customers' business processes, whether it's inventory, pricing, licensing, et cetera, and is leveraged by thousands of customers. We continue to invest in Domino. And frankly, we feel fortunate enough that it is our franchise. You've seen us deliver version 10 and version 11 over the last 2 years, and that was just the beginning of us delivering upon those commitments. All of this, for me at least, really reinforces how optimistic we are about where Domino is going. And I am really, really looking forward to Domino version 12, which will be released in the late spring and will be our breakaway release. Now I'm going to talk quickly about the digital office. And Dion, you noted this many times during your talk at the beginning here, that many companies are looking at how to reimagine their customer and their employees' user experiences. And today we spend more times in meetings and on video than ever before. And frankly, this event is a great example of that. And for us, it really is all about how do we engage, enable, and empower your teams and your customers. And we've got some fantastic releases coming out this fall, and I'll touch briefly on Connections version 7, which is we are going to be providing beautiful applications that'll get you started easier. We have a better together approach with Microsoft that we've been working on, and we continue to make investments into cloud native. We also are announcing same time our first foray into the premium meetings area with a new architecture. We're building that cloud native and allowing customers to control their meetings, their data, and their costs. And then finally, HCL Digital Experience. We have a new release coming out this week. We have further investments in cloud native, a hybrid offer, future investments into the overall user experience with DAM, a new video offer, and frankly, I'm excited about Google Analytics out of the box as well. And then the customer journey. Dion, you mentioned how important this is, and with our portfolio, we feel as if we have a strong option for our customers and partners. We see lots of synergies between digital experience, Volt MX, and now more than ever, commerce has become more important for many industries. And finally, all of this is built cloud native, allowing our customers to run on-prem or anywhere they want and give them the choice. Well, why don't I just briefly talk a little bit about why us? So first and foremost, we understand low code. And frankly, we feel as if we've invented it. Domino was the first rapid application development platform. It's been building apps that run your business for years and is a core aspect of our business. We've been trusted for decades and frankly are future ready based on the investments we're making, the legacy that we have, and the overall heritage that we have as well with delivering and providing customers with innovation that drives their business. Cloud native, you heard this from me, is incredibly important, being vendor impartial, agnostic, and frankly, it's your cloud, your data, and your way. And then finally, our deep enterprise IT stack. We have a strong partner ecosystem. We have strong and superior depth in AWS, Microsoft, and obviously security is key to everything that we do. Next slide, please. So we have some fantastic sessions happening here. Please join us for our low-code manifesto with Andrew Manby and Ken Krause. We also have some great insights into our multi-experience journey, as well as where are we going in the future with the digital office. So for me and Dion, I hope you agree, what a great start. Again, I appreciate your input and your feedback. And please join us this week and learn more about why HCL Digital Solutions is the right choice today and tomorrow. Thank you all. Dion, as usual, thank you, sir, for the time. I always appreciate your input and your deep depth. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.